Martin Popoff from the Contrarians here, back again with another episode of Reliving Old Reviews as a Useless Tool of Confusion. You can see I'm using the P-baffle here, so the audio is going to be better, and yeah, you see less of me, but who cares about that, right? So anyways, this is the little sub-show, little mini show we do here on the Contrarians that looks at old reviews, classic reviews, or of albums and bands that have become legendary over time, and seeing what they said about them in real time back at the time. So today we are looking at Blue Oyster Cult Secret Treaties. Of course, this is a band that is near and dear to my heart. You can, at martinpopoff.com, you can get my Agents of Fortune book, which is the story of Blue Oyster Cult. You can get the panel book that we did on all the studio albums called Dominance and Submission, Blue Oyster Cult, album to album, something like that, or on record. You can get my 2 Imaginos related books with illustrations and crazy, wacky conspiracy theory, UFO, occult stuff from me, Flaming Telepaths and Perfect Water. And you can even get in softcover now our Blue Oyster Cult detailed timeline, visual history with like hundreds of color photos of the band, sort of thing. So yeah, 5 Blue Oyster Cult books. At martinpopoff.com. And at Christmas, of course, I can sign these to whoever you want, do them as Christmas presents. All right, over to Blue Oyster Cult Secret Treaties. This is from Rolling Stone, June 20th, 1974. This is by Bud Scopa, this review. Let's read this and see if Bud gets it right. The Blue Oyster Cult shares certain traits with the other New York cult band, The Dolls, an appropriate image for the outpouring of urban and seemingly bottomless frustration, and offbeat sense of humor. You can see I'm reading it from the actual page from Rolling Stone here. And an ability to rock with grandeur. I love the comparison to the Dolls because they are rivals at this time. Kiss is coming on the scene in 1974. Aerosmith is coming up with their second album, Get Your Wings, in 74. So there is a nice little healthy competition between all these bands. And by the way, they're all East Coast bands, right? A Boston band and what is that? Three New York bands, right? Although they've been together as the Soft White Underbelly and then Stock Forest Group since the late 60s, commercial success has come only with the adoption of a new name and a modified stance from straight rock and roll to a heavy metal band. Like the reference to heavy metal in the middle of 1974, although he gets it wrong by putting a dash in between heavy and metal, and spelling rock and roll with an ampersand. I hate that. The change in direction and subsequent success can be attributed in large part to non-member Sandy Pearlman, the group's lyricist, stylistic consultant, co-producer, and longtime manager. That's a great description of Sandy. My 2 Imaginos books are really based on his work, more than the band's even, right? Although those are flights of fancy that go everywhere. They are wacky. They're the favorite books I've ever done of mine. But yeah, this is a great description of Sandy, sadly no longer with us, but he is a huge part of this band, conceptualizer, visualist of the band kind of thing. The heavy metal connotation comes mainly from Pearlman's funny, fantastic lyrics and the vocals, which borrow the shrillness and exaggerated vibrato of lesser people like Black Sabbath and Uriah Heep, seemingly merely for the sake of genre classification. So yeah, what can you compare Blue Oyster Cult to in 1974? All you got is Black Sabbath and Heep, right? And come to think of it, I think this is kind of a neat point. They are a little bit of a British sounding band, which is going to be a little different than I think Aerosmith, Ted Nugent, and Kiss as we move forward. Never really thought of it that way. Let me know what you think of that. Pearlman's lyrics are alternately concerned with the phantasmagoric modern myths most clearly envisioned by Marvel Comics illustrators and with macho military regalia often associated with the Wehrmacht and the Luftwaffe. But whatever inspiration Pearlman's approach provides, the band transcends eccentric detail when it launches into various writing there from Bud. I love that. And he really gets it right. And it's just a good intellectual look at the oeuvre, the world that Blue Oyster Cult creates. Don Roser, aka Buck Darman, plays a dexterous and muscular guitar. No matter how astounding his lead lines are, they're never free flight solos, but rather the cutting edges of arrangements. I like that. But Buck is very, very musical, and I like that. I wouldn't say muscular. That's a term I wouldn't use, but I love everything else he says about it here. From the teamed virtuosity and forcefulness of such tracks as Astronomy, which sounds like Cossack rock. I love that. Career of Evil, with lyrics by poet Patti Smith, and Flaming Telepaths, driven by Don Roser's overpowering guitar line. Blue Oyster Cult show signs of achieving a rock and roll hybrid comprised not only of heavy metal elements, but also of the 5D birds and Brian Jones dominated stones. So he references the birds, kind of cool. Little bit of birds on here, I suppose. We get that way more with Don't Fear the Reaper. And stones, I'm not hearing a lot of stones in this band, but like I say, not much to compare to. The blend is further modulated by recurring bits from Alice Cooper's Ballad of Dwight Fry and the theme from Peter Gunn. And there are other quotes from the 60s, including the Beatles and Motown. Very interesting. Not hearing a lot of Beatles, not hearing a lot of Motown, but I've done an entire Contrarians episode saying that you could interchange Alice and Eric and Buck as singers back and forth over the black and white period Blue Oyster Cult albums and the classic Alice Cooper albums. They are the only two bands that sound very much like this hard rock Doors thing, and they are so similar. I just find that fascinating. I would love to hear them actually do that exercise. If you played Secret Treaties at high volume, and you should, if you play it at all, you'll hear all these divergent pieces hurtling along together in tense but still very close formation, proving that Blue Oyster Cult is, at the very least, a triumph of aerodynamics. Like that. Very cool. I love the way that he's saying that this all works totally in concert, because it is a complicated set of influences. I've always called these albums kind of dated, and much of what he's bringing up here are dated references. So there you go. Blue Oyster Cult Secret Treaties here on Reliving Old Reviews is a useless tool of confusion. Please like if you like this. Subscribe. You can join our Patreon, which allows you into our panel situation, and you can be on this show. We send Marco sends out like a nice shopping list of topics for every month, and you can join. We've got merch, all that sort of stuff. Let us know what you think of this review. There you go. Blue Oyster Cult Secret Treaties.